Pizza time! Welcome everybody to the Followers of the Multiverse podcast. I'm one of your hosts, David, along with Rachel.
Hey.
Emily.
Hey.
And Jason.
Hello.
And today, if you are a fan of Spider-Man and the Raimi trilogy, you got that reference right off the top. We're talking about Spider-Man 2 from 2004, and many heralded as the one of the all-time great comic book movies and the best of the Raimi trilogy. And Rachel, once again, it's your first time watching Spider-Man 2.
Called out.
We warned you about the Evil Dead sort of mini horror film. Yeah.
You warned me about it as it was starting, so I would like to talk about that warning.
You know,
There's no blood. You're fine.
No, there's no blood.
It's
very
just all
bloodless.
suspense.
We should mention that in this case, we did actually all get to watch it together. So
We
that was
did.
actually
Great. I
it
loved
was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
My husband really was like, "So are you going to talk the same amount that you normally talk during movies?" I'm like, "Well, it's over Discord." And also, like, we're all in this because we want to talk about movies.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, I don't think they'll care.
You guys kind of got added to me watching movies with my friend Robin. And Robin and I's thing of why we watch movies together is because we will talk about movie trivia all during movies, and we drive everybody else up the wall. So that is why we watch movies together. And then you guys are coming in and you're like, "Oh yeah, you want to hear where you saw this actor again?" And I'm like, "You fit right in. Just come on into the Discord. It's fine."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Those the Discord conversation, I love how it ranges from talking about the movie and then just talking about the memes that the movie created. It's so funny.
And I remember vaguely sending the message, "Hey, do Pop-Tarts go bad?" at one point because I was scrounging through my snacks at work for dinner.
Oh man. But it's, of course, you know what? I freeze, it's fine. You know?
It's fine.
I'll edit it. It's all good.
My God, we've moved on to editing podcasts.
Editing? What?
I know, it's so weird. It's so weird. And if you're new to this show and whatnot, we don't edit over at Followers of the Force. We do not edit whatsoever. So if I have to edit this one, it's going to be, it's going to be quite the change. But anyway,
we really try.
I think we only managed to edit when one of us says something we shouldn't say.
Right, exactly.
Usually personally identifiable information.
Like
but anyway, yeah, exactly. But this movie, I have Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, and we have Peter struggling hard with trying to balance having a normal life and be Spider-Man, and trying to get the girl and be Spider-Man, and trying to, get good grades and be Spider-Man. And that's the crux of the movie. It's, can he find a balance between the two, or does he have to pick one or the other? So, like I did last time, Rachel, I'm going to throw it to you. Since it was your first time watching it, what did you think? How did you like this movie compared to the first one? And what did you think about Peter's struggle in this movie?
I felt it was really relatable, and that sounds weird because like the superhero movies I've liked before this have been like Batman and Wonder Woman, and I am neither a gorgeous Amazon nor a billionaire, to my ever-loving horror. I'm not a billionaire, but just trying to see somebody like that idea of the balance, because we all feel that in our life we may not have anything as much as, oh my God, I'm Spider-Man, because I'm not on the weekends. You would not want to see me on top of the Daily Bugle in spandex. No. But we all have those things and that balance, and it makes it very relatable to a hero who maybe the rest of the movie we can't relate to, like losing your Spidey powers, because I didn't have any to begin with. But you can relate to trying to balance your life, your work, your rent, your family, and it made the hero relatable in a way that I really felt like it drew me into the movie at the start. I really liked this movie probably as much as the first one. I don't know which one I liked better. They're both obviously, fun, silly comic book movies, but they both definitely had a lot of heart to them, and I really liked them. I had a very good time.
Good. And that's what these movies, at the end of the day, I think that's the point. You're not leaving Spider-Man 2 like, oh, that was such a bummer. It's fun.
I'm not leaving Spider-Man 2 expecting to have a artistic, transformative experience that will change my view on life. I'm going into Spider-Man 2 to have fun and maybe feel good about myself or feel good about some hope.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the same thing as Star Wars. It's about hope.
Yeah. And I think...
Maybe. I don't know.
Depends who you ask. The train sequence, I think that's a big, a big part of why the movie is really heartfelt, and you can just get the sense that he is, I don't know, he's just like, he is that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That scene exactly.
Y'all didn't warn me. I came into this movie to have a good action-packed time. I did not come in this movie to feel things. Although I did crack up when Jason pointed out that part of the train sequence was in the Chicago Loop and it was an elevated train. And I went, oh, yeah, it is.
But we don't talk about that. We don't.
So Jason and I aren't allowed to sit next to each other in the Discord chat anymore.
That's true. It is.
You're right. It is. But suspension of disbelief. It's fine.
I'm not. I wasn't saying that because like this movie's stupid. That's a Chicago train in New York. I was just saying that's a Chicago L. because I knew people that were there when they were filming it. They were like trying to catch the train, and they're like, "We can't.
Spider-Man's on it."
They're shooting Spider-Man 2 on it, and people were like, "What are you talking about?" And then when I saw the movie, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a Chicago elevated train." So what they were doing is they were just shooting the plates. They were just shooting going around, so they could put the effects and Spider-Man and stuff in later. But
I mean, it makes sense. They actually shoot quite a few movies in Chicago. They shot the pandemic movie Contagion, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of that was shot in Chicago.
We don't use that word anymore.
One of my friends was one of the featured extras in the movie because she could drive up to Chicago to do it.
But, that wasn't like a slam on the movie. It was just like
you just made me laugh.
And by the way, and you recognize, you're like, oh my god, it is the Loop. So like,
it is. I go to, my sister lives in Chicago. I go to Chicago all the time. Totally was the Loop.
So supposedly they just drove that train around like a lot of times.
So
I mean, it makes sense to have a good, if you want a good elevated background train in front of a skyline, Chicago is a great place for it.
Yeah, so that's all. And then now I'll shut up about the train.
David's frozen, so he can't talk anyway.
Sorry, my audio
now
is
I can do my whole 90-minute thing on the train.
If you turn off your video, David, it might work better.
Let's try that, everybody. Even though you can't see me, it won't matter either way because you can't see me in the first place.
Then we won't know. Won't know when you're frozen. We'll just think quiet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, David's a circle.
But I want to ask Emily and Jason, watching this movie again, did you guys feel any differently? Like how did this experience change your perception on Spider-Man 2? And did it add anything? Did it make you things you didn't?
Well, I rewatched it like a month ago, and so this was it was fresher in my mind this time. But when I rewatched it a month ago, it really like made a different impression on me, because this isn't one that I saw. Like, I had maybe seen it once before then when it came out, or at some point. So I didn't remember a lot of it, and I didn't know when I watched it like the very first time that it was seen as being such a good movie, I guess. And so I kind of went in with higher expectations when I rewatched it, but it didn't like let me down. It kind of like, it made me analyze the storytelling, I guess, a little bit more, and realize that it does some really cool things that you don't see in superhero movies. Like, the villain actually isn't like even really a main character. Like, he is an antagonist, but the main story is all about Peter overcoming like all these personal obstacles with Mary Jane and his, you know, drive to be Spider-Man. And I really like that they show that he doesn't get anything out of being Spider-Man. Like, he doesn't get money out of it. He gets maybe a little bit recognition, but any recognition also comes with people hating him. It's like the complete opposite of Batman, who's like has all the means to do whatever he wants. And Peter just does it out of the goodness of his heart, really, even though it's really...
He's such a good person.
Yeah, and even though like it's to his detriment, and at least as far as he thinks in the beginning of the movie, he thinks it's ruining his life. And I think that is like the main story, and you don't see a lot of like more introspective comic book movies anymore. Now it seems like it's all action packed, and there was a lot of action in this movie too, but it really seemed like that was the B plot. And I really liked it. I really like that it takes its time and has like scenes that if it were to be made today, I think would be cut, like the chocolate cake that the girl gives him.
Oh, yeah.
And the elevator scene. Like, I love
the elevator was making me.
I love that the movie just like gives itself time to tell its story and to breathe. And I think that is kind of unique in that you just don't see that anymore in movies as much.
Yeah, you get the sense that a lot of the time they're trying to pick up the pace all the time, and you don't have as many moments of just sitting around and eating a piece of chocolate cake. You know, you don't get that.
And I love
like
that
27 more characters in every superhero movie nowadays. Yeah. There's a lot of characters.
I was going to say that all the characters in this, like all the actors, know what the goal is of this movie. Like they're all on the same page. You can tell like the vision's very clear. Everyone is in the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my impression. I really liked it. I don't know if I like it more than the first movie, but it's on par.
Okay. Jason, what about you?
Well, my memory of it is that I was like, oh, it's the best one, and it's one of the best superhero movies ever made. And watching it again and watching it so close with the first one, it actually made me like the first one a little bit more. Like like it used to be like I used to think like the cavern between, you know, how good 2 was and how good 1 was wide, but it's really not. When I still think that the Spider-Man 2 is a better movie, better made movie. It fixes it fixes some things that they just didn't know. Like I said, I think when we were talking about Spider-Man 1, like that the subsequent movies fixed some of the things that they didn't know were problems, and I think they did that in this. Doc Ock is a much more sympathetic villain. You kind of understand him a little bit better. And what I didn't pick up in any other viewing except for this one is Doc Ock pretty much tells him about he tells him that when they first meet, that he tells him that you know, that love can make you sick or something. I wish I could remember the exact phrasing.
Yeah. But
something about, you know, sort of unrequited love can make you sick, and it's only when he sees Mary Jane with by the way, hunky astronaut guy.
Yeah.
We all that he starts to, that's when he starts to lose his powers, and then he loses them again when after the
I was so confused by that. It's like, is it the radiation? Is it?
But he was, but yeah, and I felt like, Peter had clearly it's Peter's story and it's his his arc, but I felt like Mary Jane had an arc. I felt like Harry had an arc. I felt like even Aunt May had an arc. I mean, well, clearly Dr. Octopus had an arc. But I felt like everybody got like a little story to themselves in it, and so that was really sort of nice, instead of just being like I said earlier in the Discord, I like Franco in this one, and I think it's because he had his own story. He was like,
he looks like Heath Ledger. He looks like Heath Ledger in this movie, and it was freaking me out.
They might have been pushing the whole Heath Ledger thing when they were making it, but he's not just like an obstacle like he was in the first one. He has an arc. I felt
bad for him.
Yeah. Whereas, and you do feel bad for him a little bit, but really his role in the first one is to be Peter's friend and Norman's son.
Rich asshole.
Yeah, but not his own. He doesn't really have his own thing, but he kind of has a bit, he starts off wanting to run Oscorp. That goes to crap, so he wants to get Spider-Man, and then when he realizes, and he gets what he wants, and he realizes he didn't want it, or that he can't have it, and so I liked his story. I liked Mary Jane's story, who thought she really, and maybe we'll have a longer discussion later on about hunky astronaut or Peter for Mary Jane, because
well, I do.
Mary Jane, settle girl and get that money.
I like that they gave her the perfect guy. You know, that any other person, if you're just looking at it logically, so that they made it so that the decision isn't based on him being Spider-Man, I guess. Like she had a better option, like just logistically, but she chose Peter because she loved him, I guess.
She loves him, yes. And which is why you should choose a partner, I guess, for love. But
I guess.
Funky astronaut guy.
Like I will say this. Normally in a movie like this where you have hunky astronaut guy, he would be a bit of a jerk. Like he would be a bit of a jerk around Peter. And this guy wasn't. Nice. This guy was just nice. He was just
wanted to invite Peter to their wedding.
Even being like J. Jonah Jameson's son, he was like super nice. And
yes. and
I'm just saying in other movies he would be like well, it's a bad example now because of the Cobra Kai series, but he would be like Johnny in like the first Karate Kid movie. He would be like just a jerk to Peter all the time, but he's not.
Haven't seen that.
There's plenty of people.
Rachel.
I just say this to get that reaction, I swear to God.
You've never seen the Karate Kid? Ralph Macchio is like my
David has died.
OG heartthrob. I just find he's so cute.
I don't know what to say.
And now the
don't know what to
podcast
say.
Into the Miyagi-verse.
It's a classic. Wax on, wax off.
I've also never seen Home Alone, so
Sweep the leg.
I know. I grew up under a rock.
No, I also have never seen Home Alone.
Okay, good. Buddies.
Oh my goodness.
I can tell you what David's doing right now. He has taken off his headphones in protest.
No, they're still on. I'm just kind of sitting here pondering how that happened.
How he hired us to be on.
Why did I hire him?
Oh, jeez. No.
Well, you can't undo it now. The Twitter would have a problem with it because we're beloved.
The Twitter would.
I don't know.
The Twitter would.
I don't know about
I am adored. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to. One thing I wanted to mention in regards to the Mary Jane and Peter relationship is that she only wants one thing, and that's for him to show up. She's not asking for anything else. She wants Peter to show up. She wants Peter to make the effort and to tell her what I think she already knows, which is, I know you love me. You know I love you, but why can't this work? And then he obviously is at the payphone, calls her, hey, I'm Spider-Man. She
I
doesn't
do
pay
like that
attention.
scene.
But
Wait, no, it's not that she doesn't pay
well,
attention.
it's the answering machine and then the payphone. Right. That was
not
my
her
fault.
fault.
I was jumping a gun. I was jumping the gun there.
Well, also the
my
machine
own
cut
personal.
off before he ever got there. He was just
Yeah.
yeah.
I do like. There's something about the way he talks into that phone. I don't know.
You can't like. Where's my phone? It's
Okay,
not as
here's one
intimate
thing.
talking
No,
into
it's
an
so intimate
iPhone.
whenever
Here's-
it. I miss old school phones.
It's like trying
But,
to teach kids in a
okay,
play to pick up a
he's at
phone
a-
now. They all pick it up like this.
Go ahead, David.
But he's at a payphone and he's saying, "I'm Spider." Dude, maybe take that inside. I mean,
He didn't
I
have a
wouldn't
cell
say that
phone.
out
He
loud.
could barely pay his rent,
He's
David. He
talking
didn't even
low.
have a bathroom.
Well, plus nobody knows. I think the one thing this is the thing. The argument I've always made about the whole Clark Kent Superman thing is like everybody knows Clark Kent Superman is like nobody knows who Clark Kent is. Like nobody knows
Yeah.
who Peter Parker is.
Yeah.
So it's it'd be like
And
they'd have to
it's-
bump
it's
into him on
almost-
the street and go, "Weren't you Spider-Man?" And he'd be like, "No," and then that'd be the end of it.
And it's almost like you're safer in that situation the more people are around, because there were a bunch of people. It was like a college
yeah, there
campus
were.
or something.
There
were
were.
a bunch of
That's,
people.
that's fair.
So like if it were like 5 people around him, I'd say okay.
Okay.
Not,
How
not now.
about-
But there's like 100.
I have
Right.
another
No one's
instance.
Okay.
When he does the backflip on the motorcycle or on the little scooter during that police pursuit, and then everybody's on the street, and they're like, "Okay, you're telling me this guy just did a friggin' backflip like 20 feet in the air,
I feel
landed on
like.
his feet in a
Muggles don't pay
superhero
attention to
pose."
Have you ever lived in a
Come
big
on.
city, David?
He lives
I lived in
Orlando.
Miami. And Orlando.
Is Orlando big? I don't know. I'm from a
Just
It's
if
big
you
in the
like,
downtown
if
area.
you're downtown in a very large city like New York or Chicago, weird shit happens a lot. You just keep your eyes on the sidewalk and keep walking. Don't ask questions. Just keep walking. That's how you do it.
I love
See,
those
but if I
pictures,
see
though.
somebody do that, I'm asking questions.
That's
I'm
why
asking
you don't
questions.
live in
I'm sorry.
Chicago,
I'm asking questions.
right, Jason?
But
You don't
but he
ask
also-
questions.
But he also did that in the middle of a police chase, so it'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that was really cool. Oh, there goes the cops chasing somebody." So like, it's
Yeah.
not. And then Spider-Man shows up like 30 seconds later, and you forget all about the guy who did the backflip. So
Well, and what I was questioning during the movie is, do they even know that Spider-Man really has superpowers, or do they just think that he's like really acrobatic? Because like if that happened today, just like visualizing, you wouldn't think, oh, that guy has superpowers. You would think, oh, that guy just has webs and
wouldn't-
is like really strong.
You'd probably be able to figure out he has superpowers because now everybody would have a video camera on their phone.
No, what you would get is
Yeah, but in
videos-
2004.
True. That's what I'm saying.
You'd get those VFX breakdowns like, oh, is this CGI? Is this legit? Is he actually using web? Or is this just, Photoshop
You
and
guys
whatnot?
are not.
Okay.
I didn't. Okay.
There
I didn't
would be-
mean modern.
You would have somebody in the background would be doing a TikTok dance.
I
Yes.
meant if we were in 2004
Right.
and saw Peter in New York.
God, I was 12. Please no.
I was too. I love
I
Peter
don't-
Pan because
I don't want to go back
When I
there.
think of 2004, all I think of is Peter Pan because that's when the Jeremy Sumter movie came out.
Oh God, yeah.
I was
What happened in
obsessed. I was
2004?
obsessed.
Mhm, mhm.
I don't
I'm
even
sorry,
remember
David.
2004. No, I was just gonna say I don't remember. After
Yeah.
2003, it's kind of a blur. Aside from like Revenge of the Sith.
did anybody look up what other movies came out in 2004? I don't remember.
But I
I
was
didn't.
another thing I wanted to ask. Oh, I haven't. No.
I'm gonna
Okay.
look.
Yeah,
2004, right?
yeah, 2004.
I
I don't
Okay.
remember
Okay.
anything but
Shrek
Spider-Man.
2. Shrek 2 was the highest grossing.
Wait,
Okay,
Oh, I
top
love
pick.
that movie.
Shrek
2
2 beat Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
oh,
In
Prisoner of Azkaban came out.
2004, we got Finding Neverland. We got The Phantom of the Opera. which was a
Incredibles.
formative event for my teenage years. Spider-Man 2, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, Ella Enchanted, The Terminal, Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, Christmas with the Cranks, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Alien versus Predator.
Ooh.
So this
What
is
else
why
we
I
have?
only remember
Passion of the
Spider-Man 2 from
Christ.
2004.
The Day After Tomorrow.
Polar Express,
Ooh,
I really like The Day After Tomorrow. I love Jake Gyllenhaal in that movie.
Mulan
it's the
2,
best
Shrek
movie.
2, National Treasure.
Troy.
Ugh.
I love National Treasure. Oh my god.
National Treasure is
For the movie
National
that
Treasure.
defined my high school experience, Mean Girls.
Oh, Mean Girls.
That was 2004?
That was 2004? That seems like so much later.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Oh, I love
I
it.
didn't watch it until I was in college. I don't know if I was allowed to watch it until
I think I watched it a couple of years later, but it was a favorite all through high school. Van Helsing came out.
Ugh.
What else came out?
I love The Incredibles.
The Grudge.
I don't know
Scoop-
how Shrek 2 got so much more money than all these other movies.
But it made more than
Shrek
Spider-Man?
2 is the best Shrek movie, and I will die on this hill.
It made so much more than
Really?
Kill
Spider-Man
Bill Volume 2.
and Harry Potter and The Incredibles. Can you imagine now a Shrek movie getting higher than The Incredibles?
Oh,
Wait,
Dirty
Shrek-
Dancing Havana Nights came out. You know,
Wait, Shrek 2.
Diego
That's not the
Luna.
one with Justin Timberlake, is it? Or is that Shrek 3?
No,
the one
that's
with
the third one.
Puss in Boots.
Okay. Oh, that's
this
one with Puss
is
in Boots. Okay, I get that. That's a good one. Yeah.
the one where the fairy godmother sings the best cover of any song ever when she sings "Holding Out for a Hero."
Oh yeah, that's a good scene.
Like Shrek
Let's see.
1, it's fine. It's a classic, but
Shrek 2 is where the masterpiece came.
so much money.
So
Why
good.
didn't people go
So
and see The Incredibles? It's my favorite.
Shrek
Pixar
also
movie.
came out in like May,
No,
so it
Molly,
was
it's my
this.
Oh, sorry. It came out in May.
Yes, because it came out around my sister saw it for her birthday that year.
And I think Incredibles came out in the winter.
Yeah, it came out in November.
Okay. So that might have been why.
Mm.
I do remember that The Incredibles, I was going to see The Incredibles anyway, but it had a Revenge of the Sith teaser on it. So that was part of the reason why I saw it.
I remember going to see it twice because I went to go see it with a friend, but that's all I remember.
Yeah.
Mm.
I remember the Revenge of the Sith teaser. That was cool.
Catwoman came out that year.
With Halle Berry.
Thunderbirds, Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, Ocean's
Saw
12, King Arthur with Keira Knightley.
How many King Arthur
There was
movies
a
have there
lot.
been?
Many.
A lot.
Ugh.
Agent Cody Banks 2. Kristen Stewart's debut, Catch That Kid.
Hmm.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the first Twilight. I'm like, really? 2004? But no.
No.
No, that was way later.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well,
Hellboy.
clearly, 2004 had many movies. But what it did not have, was
Many movies.
Alfred Molina playing Dr. Octopus. And
Well, it did have.
I want to
But it
ask you
did-
guys.
Yeah,
It did have.
Only one movie
Wait,
had
what?
that.
Only one movie.
Right,
had that.
that's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
I thought he meant Shrek 2. I was like, okay, he's right about Shrek 2. Didn't have him in there.
So, who did you guys like more? Norman Osborn's Green Goblin, or Dr. Otto Octavius's Dr. Octopus?
His raptor arms.
Oh, Doc Ock.
Who are your
That's
Yeah,
picks?
easy.
Doc Ock.
Doc Ock's easy. That's easy.
Why?
Doc
Why?
Ock.
Tell me why. I need reasons.
Oh, okay.
He's less campy, and it'd be cool to have 4 arms that you'd be able to do. He's a good match to Peter because, like, I don't know, they're kind of
I
similar.
might go with the Green Goblin. I really liked the Green Goblin, and I couldn't tell you why. I don't know why. Maybe because he was so campy and silly, and I had so much fun because he was just having. I mean, I don't think Alfred Molina was not having fun, but I really liked the Green Goblin.
What about you, David?
We're making him choose
This
between
is
his
tough.
children.
It's tough.
I will say for me, I actually felt a little bit more for Doc Ock. I felt like he
Yeah, same.
he lost his wife, he lost his reputation, he kind of
I
it's
think
not a reason to turn to being a villain, but I mean,
As a character,
yeah, as
Sorry,
a
go
character, I felt like he was a little bit more sympathetic than Norman, who was just kind of crazy. It seemed like,
Yeah, I mean,
and yeah, and I plus the arms are just really cool. I know some of them
They
were puppets
are.
and some, but like what was it? Like there's the point where he takes the drink from Harry and he starts drinking out of it with one of the arms and like,
yeah.
or he takes the glasses off and it was like that kind of stuff was just
Yeah.
really cool.
like as
Go ahead, Rachel.
as a character outside of the villain, I like Dr. Octopus as a character. I thought he was cool, but I don't know, as a villain, I really loved the Green Goblin's campy, scary, crazy, insane rich dude. I loved it. I don't know. Don't ask me questions.
it's fine. It's
Yeah, no, it's fine.
legit.
I think that Norman Osborn is. I think he's the better villain because where Dr. Octavius has a redemption moment at the end of the movie, taking down the tritium and sacrificing himself to, take care of that. Norman plays Peter. He's like, Peter, thank God for you, blah, blah, blah. And then, he's turning on the glider.
Okay.
That
Makes him
got
better.
me. Like he had that. Like I mean, Star Wars fan. I was expecting redemption, and then nope, he's being a sneaky bitch.
Right. So
love
I
these
think for me, that's why I pick him. Because it was once he crossed that threshold of, going after Spider-Man and not having any sort of, none of the qualities that you saw Norman have at the very beginning of the movie, there's really no saving that, as of as of that moment. But with Dr. Octavius, you kind of get the fact that a lot of what he's doing isn't directly coming from him per se. It's the arms.
Yeah.
It's the inhibitor chip. It's fighting with the fact that he lost. Right. Fighting with the fact that he lost his wife. Fighting with the fact, and I feel like he really does feel complete remorse when he wakes up and sees that he's killed all those surgeons. I know it's a very Vader-like moment, but
Well, doesn't it predate?
it
Vader?
does 1 year before.
By a year, yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I think he's, and it's kind of like the same story in the Spider-Man video game. Otto and Peter have a very close relationship working together, and then Otto learns that he has this degenerative disease, and the arms are going to help his cognitive ability. But what they do is they end up making him go kind of insane. And then it's that devolvement of the relationship of him and of going towards that really villainous sort of persona. So yeah, I think where I feel more sorry for Dr. Octavius, I don't as much for Norman, and I think that's why he's the villain I pick.
I will say this, and I got this from some other place, some video I saw on YouTube, but you realize in the movie that Peter, when he's hitting Dr. Octopus, has to be pulling his punches, because like his bones are like regular bones, and like Peter's super strong. So if he was going to hit Dr. Octopus in the face, he'd like smash his jaw the first punch, but he doesn't. So he's either pulling his punches or nobody thought that Dr. Octopus doesn't have steel bones.
Yeah.
I have to say I forgot in our last episode that they actually built the arms.
Mm-hmm.
And like there are moments of CG. You can definitely tell the difference, but that's why they look so cool, because they're real.
Right.
Do you
Like,
think
they
we could
look so
find a pair of
cool.
those on Etsy?
Well, I think I mean, what sells it is when you see them close up, they're real, and then when you see them and they're far away, I mean, clearly when he's walking on them, they're not real things. He's like, that's all
Yeah.
CG and he's on wires. But
Yeah.
but to see him up close, then you're like, oh, that's so cool. He does
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's more so those static moments where he's just standing still. There are people off to the sides, and they've got these
Yeah.
sort of like these puppet rods, and they're just moving them and making them look, and it looks really good.
Yeah.
Like
Well, the
to
other
this
thing-
day.
The other thing too is the sound that they make, because we were talking last night that they sound like raptors, but like
Yeah.
they're like it's like they're alive in a weird way because they're like
It is. It's
Well,
They
and
kind of-
this was
they
right
like
after
emote and they-
Jurassic Park 3. And so everyone had raptors on the brain.
but
I
no, but
always have raptors on the brain.
they kind of emote a little bit in some of the scenes, and
Yeah.
and I don't know if his
The
arms
way
could look
they, like-
sad, but they did it a couple times.
Yeah, like when he cries no and they all like go up, like they feel like they're also in pain.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, listen to me now, or they're like chirping in his ear like pets.
Yeah.
It's like Ursula's eels following her around.
I will say that like puppeteer, we've talked about that. Jason, because your sister's a puppeteer, right?
Yeah.
Puppet.
Yeah.
person.
She does puppets. Yes.
There's something about as soon as someone is operating a puppet, like there's more emotion in it than like a CG
Oh yeah.
anything. Like
Yeah.
you see that with any movies that actually have a person manipulating the thing.
I think that's why, because we have to switch back to Star Wars. Babu Frick. If you watch the behind the scenes, it's it's the puppeteers making Babu Frick, as opposed to they just had like a little CGI guy walking around. Maybe wouldn't have been.
I mean, half of Grogu and Baby Yoda is most of him is a puppet.
yeah, most of it's a puppet. Yeah. Because there's that behind the scenes thing where the Rodriguez episode where he's like playing the guitar to the Baby Yoda puppet and he's just kind of singing along, bobbing his head. Super cool.
And I think that's a huge benefit of those early movies not relying so much on CG and only using it when necessary, like Spider-Man swinging, Doc Ock with the arms.
Well, they still had some CGI.
Anything that has these big set pieces are, whereas today, and that's one of the only things I don't like about the MCU Spider-Man movies is that I don't get the sense that is I feel like they overuse CGI with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like that's Tom Holland in the suit as much as I did with Tobey and Andrew Garfield.
Well, isn't it? I mean, and we can get more into it when we get to those movies. But isn't a lot of it? He's just wearing a motion capture suit. Like Tom Holland is just wearing a motion capture suit, and they put the Spider-Man suit over it.
A lot of the time, at least from my understanding, that's what it is. And a lot of the time, he is wearing the suit, but it just feels like. Whereas in the other movies, you can see texture on the suits. You don't get that with his.
Yeah.
And you'll see in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 specifically, the opening scene of that movie. It's basically a Spider-Man video game. It's
I don't remember
Peter. It opens up, and Peter is sort of falling, but it's like a dive, and you get the back of the suit, and you see the fabric, you see the wind, ruffling the fabric, and then I don't know, it just looks like it looks real.
Yeah, but I
And
bet,
you don't
that's
get
probably
that
more
as
CG
much.
than.
Oh no, for sure it's CG, but I'm saying it where they don't need the CG, they don't use it. If that makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
like
do agree with that. I do agree with that.
Because they use 9 different actors for the Amazing Spider-Man to do those swings. So like a lot of that is shot on camera, and probably the CG just cleans it up. But when you have 9 actors playing Spider-Man, that's commitment, and that's you wanting to show the character do these things and make them look as real as possible. Kind of the same way they have different actors play the Mandalorian for certain things. It's Brendan Wayne and it's this other stunt performer that I forget his name.
Yeah, because there's one for Pedro Pascal does most of the ones that are acting and some of the stunts, but there's one who's specifically for heavy hand-to-hand and one that is more trained to use firearms.
Right. And I know Tom Holland can do the flips and all that stuff. He's super athletic, super, he can do it all. I would just like to see a little more realness in those movies. And that's a super nitpick. I mean, it's Spider-Man. It's not real. But,
What?
I know. Can you believe it?
Someone lied to me. I thought we were watching documentaries.
Listen.
It was a great documentary about life in 2004, though.
It was.
Yeah.
And this was all before the 2008 economy crash, and Peter's already struggling. I don't want to see what happens to the housing
We had a
bubble.
big conversation on why he wasn't living with Aunt May, and it's because
Kids
back
used
then,
to move out.
back then, it would be like not frowned upon, but seen as a little bit weird if he was still living with Aunt May.
Yeah.
Whereas
It
now,
actually would be a little
like,
bit more, a little bit more pathetic, I think. Actually, if he was like, 'cause he's supposed to be like 20, 21 or something like that, and it's like
20.
It's like still living with his aunt.
Things are different now.
Things are much different now.
Things are so much different now. So if you're listening and you're 20 and you're still living with your parents, no shame.
Good job making smarter life choices.
Yeah, go
Yeah, I
to
know.
college. Don't live in debt.
Listen, save your
doing great.
money. Don't buy stuff you don't need. And,
Ooh.
I can't say that.
Listen, I'm
as all of
sitting
our
next
Star
to
Wars collections
$500 worth of lightsabers. Don't do what I did. Still climbing out of that debt. Anyway.
That's the $300 on the Kylo Ren costume in 2015.
Oh yeah. Another thing we haven't
great,
talked
guys.
about.
So back to Spider-Man. You could tell.
So when's David buying a Spider-Man suit?
In this movie,
Listen,
there was
don't
some
tempt me.
really bad CGI. I'm just barreling through this conversation.
Oh no,
Sorry.
But you could tell they also did some practical things too. Like there was a whole car crash towards the beginning, and they had to have crashed those cars, those police cars, because it looked so real.
Is that the one that he flips up with the web that we said that they had to crash that?
Yeah, it's that one.
But there were a couple crashes that happened before, like the one flies up that he catches.
Yeah.
Whew. But then there's the bank scene, which I like poor Aunt May.
Here's your
Give
change.
that girl a toaster. But then whenever Doc Ock is pulling the thing, the thing off the vault, the
vault,
door.
Yeah.
The worst scene in that.
When he breaks,
the worst effects.
when the arms kind of break through.
It just doesn't look.
It didn't look that great. It didn't look that great.
But you see both sides in this movie, and I don't think it's a bad thing, because again, this was 2004. For the time, it was amazing, and it's still a wild ride. And even though some of the CG isn't great, they balance it out enough that I don't think it detracts from it.
I think also for this one they hid some of the bad CG a little better. They clearly those faraway shots of Spider-Man and Doc Ock fighting on the train is all CG, but those are faraway shots where you're not looking up close. I think in the last movie there's a couple of times where you were kind of relatively close to them and you were to the actor. But I think it's the one where Peter's jumping across the buildings and he looks all rubbery. But that's when they were smart enough to put that kind of stuff way off where you couldn't see it as well. So I also think in 2 years they probably were probably the people that worked on Spider-Man 2 look at Spider-Man 1 like and just kind of wince, just because the technology is just so much better in the 2 years.
Mhm.
I
So,
mean, even like though the movies that I would say hold up best with CG to today are like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and those are still 2 years
Yeah.
after, like a year or two after these movies. So
Mhm.
I'm so proud you've seen those.
those are my favorite movies, Emily.
They're really
Shut
good.
up, Emily. I was raised on those. They're my favorite.
are they all on Disney Plus or just the first couple?
Yes, they're all 5 are.
Okay.
I've
Okay,
only
let me take you through them. The trilogy's great. The fourth one has Penelope Cruz. Fantastic. No, the movie Penelope Cruz. Yes. The fifth one, meh. It's okay. It's a pirate movie. What do you want from it?
I think I saw the beginning of that one on TV and I turned it off.
And then there's the greatest pirate movie of all time, which is Muppet Treasure Island. Come at me. Anyway,
Tim Curry's in it. Anyway,
yes, that
back to Spider-Man.
The other thing I really like about this movie, and that becomes more apparent the more I watch it, is again the acting is really good, and
It is.
everyone like emotes with their eyes super well.
Yeah.
Like there's this running gag of Peter just doing like incredulous looks, with, like he's going to get something off the tray of like orders.
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
you call them?
The waiter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like people keep taking it, and then they'll just linger on his face, and his facial expressions are like,
Oh, they're hilarious.
there's so many scenes like that where you don't need like words because
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
the actors are so good that like it gets the point across. And
Yeah.
Aunt May's eyes in the scene where he tells her about Uncle Ben, oh my god. And she's oh my, okay, I gotta move on. And and then my favorite, I think my favorite like acting moment is when Harry has the knife and unmasks Peter and finds out he's Spider-Man, and then he drops the
God.
knife and his face is just like wretched. Like he is in shock. I love it. Very good acting. We lost David.
Well, I'll also say for that scene that Peter is the last person he thought he would see underneath the mask.
Yeah.
I think he was expecting to just see just some dude and then kill him, and
Mm-hmm.
then seeing that it was Peter is a huge thing for him. And I like that they kind of foreshadow what's going to happen to him in 3 without it being like overt.
Yeah.
It's one of the.
Don't
it is
spoil
one of
it
the.
for Rachel though.
doesn't it go dark in 3? I remember seeing the dark Spidey suit. David, do you want me to kick out your other computer?
I think I just did it,
Okay.
Okay.
or maybe not. All right, guys, continue. I didn't want to.
Oh no, we were
Make
just
it
talking
worse.
about just some of the facial expressions and Harry when he unmasks Peter and like he's the last.
Who would
It
you
just-
expect to be Spider-Man? It's not your nerdy little best friend.
Yeah.
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 Well, plus he was already a little mad at him because he makes money taking pictures of him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was already a little put out by him, and then to know that it's actually him. Although he's just like, so wait, how do you take pictures if you're Spider-Man? I don't.
I would like to know that myself.
Oh, they set that up in the last movie. He just webs it to like a wall, and then the shutter goes off while he does stuff.
Well, I like how it's kind of set up that
So
he does know Spider-Man, so he can like orchestrate it.
So how do you guys feel about Peter? Because we haven't really touched on it much. Peter and Harry's. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Harry and Peter's relationship in this movie compared to Spider-Man 1. How do you guys feel like? Because it's obviously devolving. Harry sees Peter as just taking pictures. Spider-Man doesn't care about their friendship. And then at the end, big spoiler if you haven't seen Spider-Man 2, Harry finds out that Peter is Spider-Man. So how do you guys like? And then when we watch Spider-Man 3, we see how that turns out.
Honestly,
yeah,
like I said earlier, I felt like this is the first movie where they had a relationship. Harry was just more of an obstacle in the first movie, and this one they actually have a friendship. I mean, it's Harry's the one that gets him in to go meet Dr. Octopus, and I mean,
Yeah, you're right. That does happen.
So there's like, so when it does devolve, it like you sort of feel that a little bit. Whereas opposed to the last movie, I mean, Harry was doing things like dating MJ on the side, and like he was just like,
Wait,
he was.
Yeah.
We have to talk about during that scene in the warehouse, Harry looks over and Peter's gone. And you can tell he's like, where'd Peter go? And then he's just like, I don't know. And then he walks out of the building and he's throwing like a temper tantrum. Doesn't even care what happened to Peter. He just leaves.
I wonder if he thought,
He just leaves.
Peter's fairly fast, even as not Spider-Man. He just went, oh, he ran? I'll check on him later?
I just think that scene has, by far, the most ridiculous and overdramatic line of the entire movie.
Oh, the I'm ruined.
He humiliated me by touching me. It's like, come on, who says that?
Yeah.
Who says
Apparently James
Nobody
Franco
says
does.
Yeah, I bet James Franco was like, Sam, I got a better line. He humiliated me by touching me. And Sam's like, whatever, we'll cut it out.
I'm gonna use that one day. If somebody bumps into me somewhere, I'm like, you humiliated me by touching me, and they're gonna be like,
I'm going to come
"What
up
the
to you at a
hell?"
Star Wars celebration, hug you,
Yeah,
and then
right.
be like, he humiliated me by touching.
I do love
Oh my
Aunt
God.
May's line in that same scenario where Peter just like eats himself. She's like, Peter, don't leave me.
Yeah.
And it's not like out of fear. Like, it's not, no, Peter, don't leave me. It's like, what are you doing? I'm your aunt. I'm elderly.
Right.
I raised you from when your parents mysteriously disappeared.
Listen, she got a good shot in on Doc Ock with that cane.
She did.
She did.
Friggin' hit him
I
upside
She
the
really
head.
had time to shine in this movie. I
She
appreciate
did.
that.
She really
She
did.
did. I did have a question with you guys and Aunt May, though, if I can ask a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you guys think she knows? Because I think she knows.
Knows
That he's
that
Spider-Man?
Peter's Spider-Man?
That scene when she's like moving out or whatever, it does make you think that she knows.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
kind of lends itself to that.
I
But-
think that there's something, and I don't remember what it was, so I can't really spoil it, but I think there's something in the next movie which makes me think that she doesn't know. But I don't remember what that was.
Maybe it's like MJ, where she heavily suspects.
Yeah.
And she knows that even if he's not Spider-Man, he knows Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that people are like, oh, nobody knows. And I'm like, Aunt May is not a stupid woman.
No.
No. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, which obviously you get confirmation at the end of the series. Sorry, Rachel, for spoiling it, but you probably know. But it's kind of like Obi-Wan and Anakin.
I've watched that arc.
It's like, you get the sense that he probably knows, but does he? And then at the end, you're like, yeah, he's just not.
But
He's not saying anything.
to what extent?
Clone Wars, they kind of
To an
confirm
extent.
it that he knows.
Huh?
Like,
Clone Wars, they kind of confirm.
He
Obi-Wan.
knows
Yeah,
that they're
that's what I mean.
together
That's what I mean.
or like have feelings, but he doesn't really know that they're
Yeah, I don't think he
married.
knows that they're married. No, yeah, you're right. I don't think he knows they're married.
He's like, Anakin wouldn't be that stupid.
It's like,
Oh,
it's
I have no
fine
idea.
if we have,
Yeah,
little
whereas-
side hustle.
Anakin's the father, isn't he? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they got back to Coruscant and somebody was like, I think Anakin's at Padme's, and Obi-Wan would be like, well, of course he is. Or somebody's like, where can we find Anakin?
Yeah.
It would just be like, go over to Padme's. I'm sure he's there. Like,
Yeah, he's probably
like he knows
Uh,
that, but I don't
Yeah.
think he knows that they're
Yeah.
married and they're having
Mhm.
children together and things like
Yeah.
that. So
Um,
Anyway,
Okay.
wrong podcast.
so what I want to do at the end of this episode, since we're nearing an hour here, we're about to end the Raimi trilogy with the memeiest superhero movie I think ever made.
Wait,
I
are we
have
not
not
going?
watched this
Are we not
trailer
gonna talk
that you
about?
sent me yet.
Are we not going to talk about Rent and Rent's daughter, who's super nice?
Oh
Yeah.
God!
I love her.
I mean, we touched on the chocolate cake.
She's so awkward, but so sweet and genuine.
I just call the landlord Rent because that's
she
all.
doesn't
Only
have
line
an evil bone in her
Mr.
body.
Dickovich.
yeah. Oh, that's right. It is his
That
name.
is-
Yeah.
Landlord.
That's his name. Wow.
But yeah,
Mr.
the
Dickovich.
the daughter's so sweet.
She
you know.
is. She's so sweet. I
And
want
she
her
is
to
in Spider-Man
hook up
3.
with the astronaut.
There we go.
Yes.
That's what should have
That's
happened.
the side story I want.
There
I
you
want that
go.
from a certain point of view.
And they fall deeply in love.
Yeah.
Rent's daughter and the astronaut, just like deeply in love.
Rent's daughter. That's gonna be the new name. Jeez. But I wanted to, well, you really can't do it in a sense. That movie, yeah, you can't. But in a couple words, to get Rachel ready for Spider-Man 3,
Oh,
and you know what scene I'm talking about,
I know. what
and the
scene you're talking about.
montage that I'm talking
Oh, yeah.
about.
Oh yeah.
I've
What
not
is
watched this
the-
trailer yet.
What is the best like few words to use to describe Spider-Man 3 as a whole?
Oh, Spider-Man 3 as a whole
Yeah,
lowered expectations.
I already know.
I usually check out halfway through.
Y'all are
Mine
really
is-
selling this.
I'm curious to watch it again. I don't think I've seen it all the way through. Maybe since the theaters. Like, so I'm curious if it's as bad as I remember. So I'm cautiously optimistic about it. But
It's my husband's favorite.
really,
Your husband is sus.
I mean, I've
I'll
had
just
to
say this.
I've had to rewatch the Venom scenes with my nephew because he can't handle the Venom movie. But the couple of clips on YouTube from
I think
Spider-Man 3, but I haven't watched the whole movie, and I haven't watched the montage that is done so much better into the Spider-Verse. So
yes, that's a very true statement. I do think that Sandman is my favorite villain of these 3 movies.
Ooh.
yeah, I do remember liking him. I don't know if I like him better than Dr. Octopus. We'll see
And-
when I watch it. But
And apparently, he's in No Way Home. We shall see.
Okay,
but
I'm going
yeah,
to watch
my-
this trailer when we're done here.
Good, you should. But my 3 words, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
You know what, David? This week has been a lot. Can you be more specific?
it's a lot.
Spider-Man 4 was
there's-
canceled.
yeah,
So you
Yeah.
need to know.
Yeah,
yeah.
basically, Spider-Man 4 was canceled.
Mhm.
It was canceled, and then a year later,
And not
they
like
came out
Twitter
with-
canceled, but just
Andrew
canceled.
And Sam
then
Raimi
rebooted.
says he hates that he made the movie. So
Yeah, well,
there you
and
go.
like
Well, in not so many words, he doesn't like that movie.
I feel so bad for him, and we'll talk about this next time. But
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
half of it's a good movie.
it is. No, there's a lot of stuff in there that if you just cut out some other stuff and devoted more time to setting things up, it would have worked.
Yeah.
But it's the
Yes.
same issue that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has.
Yep.
You try to do too much.
Yep.
And
So,
it just doesn't
as a
work.
woman who saw Rise of Skywalker 5 times in theaters, I mean,
It's not on that level.
okay.
In my opinion, the movie doesn't make you feel bad.
Okay.
If that makes like you don't have a Ben Solo death kind of ending with Spider-Man 3. In my opinion. I don't feel bad at the end of Spider-Man 3.
I think Emily disagrees
just
with
my
you.
opinion.
We'll find out.
That's just my opinion. I mean,
What
Is
most
it the
people
greatest
mean,
ending? No.
Rachel, is not the same type of thing. Like it's not it's not really the plot that people have problems with. It's the whole
The execution.
Wait.
You know what? Well, I'll just watch it, and then we'll just see how many times I ask what the hell's going on.
tonally, some things are questionable.
Well, I'm trying to think of the best analogy. It's just like, I think sometimes it's a little. I think Spider-Man 3 is a little too much of what could have been a good thing. Like, like you have a drink and you put ice in it because ice makes it cold. So for Spider-Man 2, they put just the right amount of ice in it, and then for Spider-Man 3, they put too much ice in it, and so it sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, like half of it's a good movie.
Yeah, and a drink with too much ice in it's a good drink, but you only get like half the drink.
Right. Yeah.
I like your analogy,
That's the
Jason.
first time I've ever heard that analogy, but it works.
But it works.
I didn't know where you were going. I was like, ice cold.
When you put a lot of ice in a drink.
Yeah, put too much ice in it.
I can't believe we've been talking for an hour. I could talk for another hour about this movie.
Listen, I could pop in Spider-Man 3 right now.
Now, are we gonna rank them as we go? So, like, which one are we?
Actually had a question.
Yes.
Are we going right from? Are we doing Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, into the Spider-Verse Tom Holland movies, or are we doing release order?
Oh.
We're doing release order. We're going.
So we're gonna put
Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, Spider-Man Homecoming. I think Far From Home came out before Into the Spider-Verse or after.
It came out after Into the Spider-Verse. It came out
after.
So you'd have to do.
We'll leave Into the Spider-Verse at the end since it really has nothing to do with Far From Home.
Oh wait,
What?
no.
I vote we do Into the Spider-Verse before the Tom Holland movies. Because we want the Tom Holland movies to lead into
That's
the
fair.
new
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay,
That's fair.
that'll be nice.
Just
we need a
made-
palate cleanser.
Yeah, I was
David?
gonna say, that's a good palate cleanser after Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
You
Amazing
have just made this into a democracy, and I don't think that's what you wanted to make this podcast.
No, that's fine. Listen, that's fine. That's fine.
You watch your movies, we'll watch our movies.
Yeah. And then at the beginning of 2022, we'll do a complete MCU rewatch.
God.
Now, for
I
that-
don't know if I have the brain power to commit to this.
Before we start, I want on record everyone's favorite Marvel movie as it stands right now.
Oh, okay.
Captain Marvel.
Favorite Marvel movie?
Captain Marvel.
Are we?
Okay, so Rachel's is Captain Marvel.
Mine is Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Oh, okay.
What's
Mine
yours,
is-
Emily?
Infinity War.
Mine's Infinity War 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you the best of
Y'all,
everything. in my
y'all
opinion.
share a brain, and it's kind of freaking me out.
We have the same taste in movies.
Because Civil War didn't give me. Well, it's like in my top 5. I wanted more Spider-Man, but Infinity War gives me the amount of Spider-Man that
Yes.
I want in an ensemble movie.
Mhm.
Yep.
The Doctor Strange, Tony, Peter
Mhm.
dynamic is amazing.
Yep.
Yes.
The
That is one of my
beginning of the
favorite.
movie.
That's one of my
Mhm.
favorite interchanges when it's it's like
No,
it's like what is it?
let me tell you what the best exchange in that movie is.
If
It's
it's
when the Guardians. It's when the Guardians.
All words are made up
meet-
because that's my favorite line.
when the Guardians meet Tony, Peter, and Doctor Strange, and he's like, "What master do you serve?" And he's like, "What master do? What do you want me to say? Jesus?" I
You're from Earth.
lose my mind every time I watch that scene.
No, mine is. It was even in the
It's
trailer,
so
which is
good.
surprised I still like it. He's like Peter walks up to Doctor Strange. He's like, "I'm Peter," and he goes, "Doctor Strange." He goes, "Oh, so we're using our fake name. We're actually made up names. Okay, well, I'm Spider Man."
And then he walks away.
Oh, it's such a good. I can't wait to
I could watch
rewatch
Infinity
that.
War any day. Like
Oh,
Endgame
So good.
is all right, but Infinity War just
Out of the 4 I've seen, it's Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel was really fun. I like
I
Captain
liked
Marvel.
Captain Marvel a lot.
This is my question though, and I'm sure we could talk about this later, but we'll talk about it now. When
Sure.
we do the MCU, are we doing release
Yes.
order or are we doing chronological order?
Why do I have a feeling that either way, I'm the guinea pig here?
What do you guys think?
I would say release order.
I say release order too, just because.
Easier to keep a track.
Yeah, and
Well,
and
I know Disney Plus has them in chronological order.
They do.
Oh.
they do,
Yeah,
but they also
so-
have them in phase 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
So
because
I am your blank slate, my friends.
Well,
apparently,
Fine
The dip-
with jumping into Captain America is no, Iron Man's the first one.
yeah.
Iron Man's
Release
first, and
order.
then it's Cap, and then I think it's Iron Man 2 or Thor.
Well, the debate is would you put, if you're gonna do chronological order, would you put Captain America first or would you put Captain Marvel first?
Captain America.
Captain America, then Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she's in
She's
he's
in the
like in
90s.
the 40s, and
Yeah.
she's in the.
90s.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
then Black Widow kind of also.
Black Widow.
Well, this is the thing. Homecoming, Black Panther, now Black Widow, they all take place within a week after Civil War. So they all
Yeah.
take place before we get to like all the Infinity War and all that kind of junk. So that's why I was curious.
I could go either way. Really, I've never watched them chronologically.
am I am I committing to 30 plus movies? Am I really doing
Yeah.
this?
We
Yes.
started a spin-off podcast for you, Rachel.
I didn't.
This
I
is to
did not
get you
give
to
my
watch
consent.
the movie, so you don't have to have a conversation or somebody
Elaborate.
mentions the movie and you don't go, I haven't seen that. Now you can.
I guarantee you, by the end of this rewatch, you will be a full-fledged fan of these movies. I almost have no doubt.
I mean,
There's a lot of pressure right now for
It
someone
did-
who can't commit to a weekly podcast.
it did take a while for them to incorporate women, so don't feel bad if it takes you a while
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
But they
And
got
then,
there a little bit
they did. did.
eventually.
They did. Took a little while, but
I would say
You
a
know, with
tree
stuff
had a
that's
movie
coming.
first before a woman.
and a raccoon.
This
Yeah,
is
Tree and a
why.
Raccoon had a movie first, but
This is why Captain Marvel's my favorite.
Yeah, and
Captain-
you might get to the end, and Captain Marvel might still be your favorite.
Yeah.
But there are other cool women characters. They just don't get their own movies because.
Yeah.
oh yeah, most of the ones in Black Panther are badass. So
Oh God,
Oh.
I liked them.
Super cool. Well, all right, guys. That is going to do it for us tonight. I apologize for constantly freezing and, chopping up my words and whatnot because my internet sucks. But hopefully the ending of this podcast was not too bad to listen to.
when I was trying to see if you were either listening by watching the fan, if the fan didn't move, I was like, oh, he's frozen.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. But at least we know now if I go from my phone, everything is usually all right. But anyway, guys, thank you for listening. We are gonna have our spoiler-filled review of the Eternals is out now. You can listen to that right now, where it's actually me and my dad talking about the Eternals. So
Aw,
that's a lot of fun.
That's precious.
that's sweet.
And then we'll have our Spider-Man reviews coming out every Tuesday, and any other Marvel stuff going on, like Disney Plus Day. Our recap just happened on Saturday. Find out what they released and find out how we reacted to it, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot. And until next time, guys, not may the Force be with you always.
With great
But
power
we
comes great
ponder the
responsibility.
question, what's next?
What's
See you guys next time.